Hi, my name is Catherine, and I'm a wife, mum, daughter, sister, and full-time teacher. I'm also living with a glioblastoma 4, which was diagnosed in August 2016. I ended up having 2 surgeries. When the first surgery happened, they weren't sure what to do with my tumour. I went home after the first operation and remember walking around the garden with my husband and asking him, why has this happened to me? I was fine being around, but knew I would need to go back to have as much of the tumour taken out as possible. I returned to the hospital for an appointment with the surgeon and his team to be told that they would need to operate again, as it was a tumour. The problem with my tumour was that it was in a difficult place for surgery to completely remove it without affecting my movement. As a result, I was asked whether there was anything I wanted to be able to do in the future. And I asked that I'd quite like to be able to play the piano. I played the piano, but I was not very good at it, but I still wanted to be able to do that. So during my second surgery, I was woken up while it was happening, and that was quite a weird experience. I actually remember being asked to show that I could move my hands. I was able to at the time. After the surgery, my sister came to see me, and that's when I went downhill again. And the next time I woke up, I wasn't in recovery anymore. I was in the high dependency unit. And I was pretty scared as I could see the looks on my family's faces. After a couple of days, I was transferred to a different ward. And this is when I realised that I couldn't control my right-hand side, so that wouldn't let me play the piano. This was also very worrying. I stayed in hospital for a week or so. I was desperate to go home, so I begged for support from a physiotherapist. And that did come, but it was August, it was hot, and I could feel the bars of summer happening outside the hospital. So I kept getting out of bed without a physiotherapist, which didn't go down well with the ward staff. It was like I was learning to walk again. I was a toddler. When I was assessed by the doctors again, I was told that I could go home as long as I had support there and my bed could be moved downstairs. We're in the middle of moving from a first floor flat in London to Essex. We hadn't found somewhere to live. So my parents stepped in. They lived in Chelmsford at the time, well, they still do, and said that the 3 of us could go there instead. However, I was adamant that my bed would not be moved downstairs. The relief I felt when my brother came to pick me up from the hospital was immense. It was a perfect summer evening, and I couldn't wait to sleep in a bed that wasn't a hospital bed. I knew that my husband needed to go back to work, and my 3-year-old daughter needed to get back to childcare. My parents were going off on holiday, so I had to try and get back to as close to normal as was possible. There was no pressure though put on me, as my mum hired a home help for 5 days so that my husband could be going back to work. I was still struggling to move around, so she helped me with dressing and eating. I was nervous about being left with someone I didn't really know, but it was okay. The lady who came was lovely. I know though that not everyone can afford to do that. We hadn't talked about a holistic needs assessment in hospital, but I did have one visit from a physiotherapist after going home. He said that you've got these strengthening exercises you can have a go at. But I also had a friend who was an OT, or still is an OT. She came over to support me too. So I'm not sure what I would have done without my friends or family doing that sort of thing for me. I know that not everyone would have that kind of support, and I know that I was very lucky to receive it. During this time, I also knew that I could call my consultant and her team. They might not be able to respond straight away, but I knew they would get back to me as soon as they could. Unfortunately, I don't really have any tips to share. It's hard to say that because I know that's what you're here looking for. But you do need to think positively, and you need to believe that you're going to get better, and you need to want to get better, and you will then recover as much as you possibly can.